Welcome back to the channel. We're going over the Nasdaq 100, the SP 500, exactly how the market is moving. I'm going to get right into exactly the plays that I'm looking at going into tomorrow, as well as giving you the breakdown of how I expect and how I looked at indexes trading on the day. And I also have a very big surprise for you as well here on the channel. Before we get into that, I got to say, consider liking, consider subscribing. I'm posting videos every single day, so you know how the market's going to be moving, so you know what to expect with news and other variables and key levels when it comes to the stock market. Let's get to it. Now, before I even get into these charts, I have a pretty special announcement. Everyone knows that we run the Discord. Everyone knows about that. So for everyone who comments on today's video, you will get an opportunity to get a free subscription for the next month. All you gotta do is comment here on the video and you will sign up to potentially get a overall free membership for a month, and follow on Twitter because I'll be announcing and tagging the comment or whoever does it on Twitter. Do a joke. I don't really care what it is, but anyways, that's how you're going to decide who gets it today, whether that be good or not. So yeah, let's get back into the charts and exactly what I'm looking at here. So what am I looking at when it comes to NQ? This is really interesting. We had a lot of good movement today. Today was, honestly, the past 3-4 days have been great trading days overall. At this level, this is really interesting. So if we're looking at the day, let's highlight where the day actually started. So this is 8:30 market open around this time right here. Let me find it so you can see. You have market open about right here. This is when markets open right there. From that level, you get an immediate drop down to this zone of 11.39. Really our support zone we've had for the past few days. It's about 11.4 all the way down to 11.35. That's our support. You come down, you touch, and you bounce from that level. Now let's talk about what happened at this level. If we go back to the SPY did not bounce at that time frame. Now I want to highlight, you ended up bouncing eventually, but you did not bounce immediately. SPY gapped all the way down, and you trended for roughly 40 minutes at this support area. Now, if we go over to ES and look at the actual futures, it's that same area we have been trending at. This is the same local low region. You trended there for about 40 minutes, give or take, in that range. Actually, a little bit over, about an hour and 30 minutes, give or take, in that range. You sat at those lows. Meanwhile, if we go back to NASDAQ, what's happening? Just continuous upside movement. Now, I am not going to lie to you. When I was looking at this, I was very bearish looking. I was like, now NASDAQ, you might be getting some volume, but ES futures usually typically, they don't lie to us. You're looking pretty bearish on there. So down there, I had a few small short positions, and then I ended up cutting those pretty quickly once you got above the monthly level here on the NASDAQ, and ultimately started pushing back up to those local high regions of around 11.72 to 11.75. And you actually ended up breaking past those highs. And what did I say? What happened if you broke past this high of 11.7 to 11.75? I said I'd be bullish. I said I would turn to a bull on the market overall, at least to getting us a push back to around 12,000, 11.95 roughly. And as of right now, that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking to test these previous lows you had back here around 11.99 to 11.95 in a hurry. This could easily happen by tomorrow morning, whatever it may be. Now, there's a lot of big news going into tomorrow. You have your Fed minutes being released at, I believe, 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern time. I could be wrong on those times. Go check it out, investing.com. I'm not even going to pull it up right now. But that's what's going on here. Now, when we go to SPY, what's happening here? SPY, this was honestly kind of incredible with the way you traded. Now, I say the past 3 days have been great for trading because you're actually getting movement, right? So basically the past few days, in my opinion, what's been happening the past week or two, you get that immediate movement at open, and then it's kind of just chopped throughout the day. And then you get that immediate movement at open, chop throughout the day. Again, you can just see the trend, immediate move. Here you got a little bit downside and pop back. That was a decent moving day. But it's just been... But it's just been locally immediate moving and then sideways action for the rest of the day. And that's just how we've been playing. But if you're looking lately, you've been getting some of that good movement to where you'll pop down at open, you'll pop back up, come back down. This is day trading activity. So I'm loving this, and I'm getting kind of used to it once again because we haven't seen this in a while, in a few weeks. So I'm happy with the action we're getting, and we're actually getting decent volume here as well. So I do like everything happening. Now, I want to be very clear about the S&P and the SPY overall futures, and then as well as NASDAQ. NASDAQ, you've broken above those key levels. The ES, which is SPY futures, and overall the SPY, they have not. Now, you've gotten you've gotten right to that resistance level. I would consider this your resistance level about right here. And you're in that zone now, ready to break up. So we'll see market open, and I guess in the after hours as well. But overall, you got to take with what you're getting right now. And so looking at this, looking at NASDAQ, unless you get a major drop into, pre-market, I anticipate some good moving going into tomorrow just based on where you're at. You got above 11.7, you already pushed 11.8, and now you're going to be pushing locally 11.9 over to 12,000. But again, you have to see how it plays by year. Now, I made a tweet last night on Twitter, and I did say this was very clear. I said, because starting this week or going into yesterday at market open or futures open at night, you had an immediate push up to 11.75. And I made a tweet. It was very clear going over this. When we go back, and this is very important to be looking at, Nasdaq futures came out looking tough. This is why swinging in the market is a dangerous game. Honestly, means nothing, and we could dump by the AM, but the stress isn't really worth it. And so you had that immediate push, and literally from that tweet, we top ticked it, and nothing could have been closer to the truth. You dumped by the morning, and you ended up topping out at that level, and then boom, tanking back down. So when you're looking at pre-market, you got to kind of take it with a grain of salt, especially for trading options, because you can't anticipate how you're going to trade over the night, especially with what's happening now. It's so much up, so many downs. And if we look at this range specifically on ES, you can see that you've been trading in this key range. Now, granted, yeah, it's up and down, but you've been trading in this range for quite a while now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days roughly in this range. So there's no complaints here, nothing like that. But looking at this range, this is what I'm looking at. And I am noticing that you need to get above basically 38.40 to hold above it, start pushing in a bullish fashion to the upside. Now, going into tomorrow, what plays am I liking? Now, the guy in Discord, we were talking about it. He's been mentioning them quite a bit. And this is a corporate bond ETF. I'd like to take this time to give a special shout out over to Margex. This is who I'm using for all of my crypto trading right now specifically. Now, if you go over to Wallet and you do an overall use code Tyler, all caps 15, you will get a 15% bonus to anything that you are depositing here. So I recommend using that. I don't get any type of feedback from this, but you will get an overall bonus deposit. Now, if you use my link down below, I will get some feedback and I will get some rake back, and you will also get discount on your fees for every single trade that you're taking. So I do recommend doing that. But what I do primarily is I use my Bitcoin for when I'm trading, and I keep the rest in USDT so it doesn't lose value based on Bitcoin if it drops. And I like Margex because they allow you to transfer in and out without fees as well, like that. So those are all things that I'm currently using, and this is my broker of choice. And again, you can use Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, whatever crypto they have here, and it's all based on margin. Now, some people are using 100x. I don't recommend that. I stay between 20 and 5x, typically on the lower end, just so I can catch some more of those swings and let it run as I see fit, following futures all the time. Let's get back to the video. You've seen this move pretty well. Now, the contracts are really cheap, so I just traded about 10 of them at the market close, and I got the 75s for myself. But I want to highlight what happened the last time you had Fed minutes. If we go back to the daily chart, this is originally the daily. When we go back, you can see the 25th was the day. This was the day that you had your last Fed minutes right here. As you had that happen, you pumped up here, and what happened? You ended up running from locally around 77 all the way up to around 80, which got you a great move on those contracts, and those ended up doubling, tripling, whatever the value was on those. And so here, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for a good reaction, and I'm looking at this double bottom as well here. Now, again, trading anything into these minutes is an extreme gamble, and I want everyone to be very clear of that. Looking at this, you don't know anything that the Fed's going to say, and they've kind of been lying through their teeth at each meeting and in general. So looking at this Fed minutes, I have no idea what they're going to comment, what they're going to say about inflation. Is it being affected in a bullish manner? I have to read it and take it basically what they give us. But in the manner of which, Powell continues to come out and say they have no idea how they're going to handle inflation, and just no idea how they see the future of it being handled longer term over the next few months, then, that definitely leaves me with a red flag and seeing potential downside. But that's just what I'm looking at, and I have to play it by ear. So HYG, I see it probably coming up double top around 75, maybe going a little bit higher. We'll have to wait and see. But you have a double bottom here. I do like that. But it's worth mentioning, again, this is a risky play. It could easily drop below. It could easily drop down. So just be careful with this overall. Now, I don't really have anything else, but I will mention I do like SPY. I'm not going to lie. Looking at SPY here, if I go about to the 4-hour chart, I think you look good. The only blemish in this chart, in my opinion, is this right here, when the fact that you broke right here. But if you held this overall and you were just holding these local lows and you did not have this movement right here, this would be a really bullish chart, in my opinion, to the upside, looking like it wants to push back to 390, possibly even 400. And yet I recognize you still do have those gaps, right? So I know people are so used to hearing Tyler being so bearish on the market, But like I said, you get above these key levels and you have to flip the narrative based on the price action that we're getting. So that's what I'm looking at there and how I'm overall projecting this to move is you have a lot of upside potential. You do have that upside potential based on how you moved it and based on the relative strength and volume that you had today. But Fed minutes will have a very big impact on the market. And so I recommend being a little bit cautious when it comes to that as well. Not financial advice, do your own DD. Now, going into overall options, you can see how people are playing it here. People are playing it pretty close to the chest here. You still see put to calls. Puts are still in the dominant side here. Going over to QQQ. 1.0, it's still right there. People are still hedging their bets. Going over to VIX. VIX is very interesting when you look at the chart as well. Still seeing calls being bought here. So people are still hedging positions and they're not full bull yet. Which, again, leads me to believe that there's more potential upside because typically when everyone starts getting into the side of one narrative, it tends to go the opposite way. But as we look at VIX as well, this is something that you wanted to see if you were going to get a bullish day. So today you actually had a pretty, this morning, of course, you had that dip down. But what happened? Once the ES and SPY started bouncing, VIX started dropping. So VIX could easily come back down to this $24 region down here, which we've seen be a major level for this. And every time it comes down here, it tends to bounce. So I would like to see VIX come down. And I think there's opportunity if VIX comes down for stocks to go up. And another thing that was really concerning to me was seeing some of these yields. Now, people need to realize I still am long-term. I think we have downside still coming. I do not think we're quote unquote out of a recession or anything like that. But looking for a volatility bounce to the upside, I don't think is a negative thing to do. You need to be looking at both sides of the market if you're day trading. Looking at 10-year yields, you're getting slapped. You have to recognize what's happening here. But if you look at DXY and the overall dollar value, you're pushing to new highs over and over and over. So I still think you're in this area where risk off is not taking over. But I also think you're in this area where you have a little bit of potential to go up. So I still am long term. I still think there's downside. You still have more room to go down. Short term, it's looking like you want to get a move back to, overall 12,000 locally on the Nasdaq. And you just had futures open back up. We'll probably get more movement once Asia comes out. And then again tonight around 2 a.m. once London and EU opens up. Those are going to be the really big movers there. But overall, looking at this, it looks like you want to keep going up. It looks like strength is definitely being claimed by the bulls. And you want to see some movement to the upside prior to this Fed minutes being released. Again, Fed minutes gets released. You have to account for what they say and how they see the market moving and see their overall plans going forward with the rates. Because that's going to be the big talk here. Are they projecting to do a 0.5 hike, a 0.75, a 1 point hike? What overall are they doing? Is there any overall type of bullish narrative that they're pushing out and any type of bullish change that's happened in the market? And that's what I'm going to be looking for going into tomorrow specifically. Again, the only position I have right now is HYG calls to the upside, 75s. I got them for like 30 cents. They were extremely cheap. Only reason why I'm playing that. Looking at the market as a whole, you had your big drop down on most of these stocks. Nvidia, semiconductors all dropped down. Now they want to rally back up and get some more momentum going back towards the upside. So overall, that looks good as well. So a lot of stuff looks like it wants to be bottomed out, like you have some upside potential. So I do, again, like what I'm saying. Again, futures coming out right now are already looking a little bit strong. Fingers crossed. I see a little bit of upside coming tomorrow. That's how I see this playing out. And again, tomorrow's update will be primarily over the Fed minutes, breaking down everything you need to know as fast as I can get it out to you. Have a good one, traders.